Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another weather forecast by Adrian with the forecast. This is going to be another tropical update. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, you're probably wondering why is this automatic video just starting on hurricane damage. Well, I'm going to be doing a little bit on the intro here of this video, kind of just embracing what just happened yesterday. Obviously, a historic hurricane, strongest hurricane that hit Louisiana in over basically almost 2 centuries here. I mean, the strongest hurricanes is around the 1850s or so. So this is obviously something I want to do, and I want to start doing here after a major hurricane landfalls. Anywhere I want to kind of just do a little bit in the beginning of a video after a hurricane, just embracing and show you guys some of the pictures that I got from the system. So this is actually not really damaged, but let me actually move my screen this way. Actually, there we go. So here, look at the overall Ida's peak winds here, and we do actually have a gust all the way near Port Fortune. Got absolutely hammered with a gust of 172 miles an hour. We had gusts up to 110 in New Orleans, as well gusts up to hurricane gusts all the way up to near Manville and Gonzales, Louisiana there. But look at Grand Isle, Southwest Pass, Golden Meadow, Galliano, Dulac as well. Port Fortune obviously got absolutely hammered with extremely strong gusts, and obviously we did get a Category 5 gust in Port Fortune there, so the worst was right at the landfall, and obviously Grand Isle got hit by the northeast quadrant. So here's a pretty overall significant. Why is my camera? Why is it always doing that? So here's an overall significant look at what Grand Isle looks like, and you can kind of see all of this is just water and water and water. Again, remember there are people that actually stayed in Grand Isle. Here's another image here. But actually go back. There we go. Another image for Grand Isle taken by Grand Isle or for oh my gosh, I can't get the word out. A photo taken above Grand Isle. You can just see all that water. And like I showed you guys the day before the landfall with Justin, how what the terrain looks like at Grand Isle and how it was gonna be completely submerged in water. It's exactly what happened. There's really no land here at all, and the fact that people stayed in that and there's people still stranded in the island because obviously the interstate that goes to the Grand Isle is closed, and we're getting our first responders just like right now. You can just see there's no water. I mean, you can kind of see the difference. There's actually land here. There's really not much storm surge. You can just see there's no land. I mean, just houses popping up there. The storm surge was a lot higher, obviously, yesterday at peak, but even a whole day later, we're still seeing that extreme storm surge, obviously, even 24 hours or so later. Here's a look here at the comparison of Grand Isle before the landfall there. You can obviously see the actual land and the houses, and now look at it yesterday. Just look at that, all that storm surge. Look at the difference here. You can just see that almost half or even over half the island is completely submerged in water. Absolutely devastating for those people. This will take months to even prepare from, or prepare, or at least to recover from. At least is what I was trying to say. I mean, this is obviously going to be months and a very very long recovery. Even up here near Elmer's Island. Look at this, Elmer Island completely submerged underwater. Just look at the difference. Just completely submerged underwater. That is just absolutely mental. Obviously, seeing over 10-foot storm surge, that's just absolutely crazy. Some more damage. Obviously, I believe this was in New Orleans. Uh, I think I saw somewhere that this person was actually in the house during the collapse, and that he was able to get out of it. Again, this is why we say to evacuate, because even if you think you're inland, you're far safe, the winds could still do something like this. Obviously, the gusts were really strong, Category 4 gusts. They're even decently inland. As well, here's a look here at reporter there. I believe this was in New Orleans, or somewhere within the metro. Getting extreme damage. I believe this was in Huma, and you can just see. I mean, Huma actually got hit quite hard. I mean, surprisingly hard compared to what I thought, what I was expecting. They got hit extremely hard there. You can just see a ton of collapsed buildings across that vicinity. As well, here's like a Laplace. Another area that got hit extremely hard, and actually a lot harder than I thought was gonna happen, was Laplace, which is a suburb west of New Orleans. There, actually decently far west of New Orleans, and obviously Lake Pontchartrain. Obviously the waves were obviously very choppy, and Lake Pontchartrain, obviously the water spilled far inland, and Laplace just got absolutely hammered. I mean, they were basically underwater for a while here. And it was obviously a lot higher the storm surge when you see this picture. I bet you like that sign up to the place in New Orleans sign right there in the very front. that would have bet that was almost submerged in water. But obviously, as the day went on today, the water slowly obviously started to sink down and obviously started to decrease here and go obviously back within the like, Pontchartrain area. Here's another look here. I believe this is as well. I believe this is Huma again. You can see extreme amounts of debris all over the place. Power lines obviously leaning about to fall. Just extreme damage, and that's obviously all I have as of now here. But again, thoughts and prayers to those who are trapped or got affected by Hurricane Ida. Again, this is obviously a devastating storm and will be remembered for a while. And if not, it won't even be forgotten. It's gonna be something that we're gonna be talking about for years and years and years and years, just like Katrina and just like Harvey. It's gonna be something we're gonna be talking about for decades from now. But obviously, Ida's pretty far inland as a tropical depression now, still bringing a threat for some widespread flooding here going all the way up to the northeast here, which we'll be looking at further deeper into the video, as well watching out for a slight tornado threat as we're seeing overall some decent overall supercells trying to develop within the northeast quadrant bandings here. So some overall good embedded supercells within those little linear modes. So what we're gonna watch out for. Oops, my microphone just fell, so hopefully that wasn't too loud. I do apologize for that. But again, Aya is going to be moving a little bit to the directly northeast here, so more rain expected for Tennessee there, Alabama, Georgia, and going all the way up to the mid-Atlantic. We now have a new area of interest here for areas of where Ida actually formed, so keeping a close eye on that. 20% for the next 5 days. An area of low pressure is expected to form in the southern Caribbean Sea by midweek, so we're going to keep a very close eye on that. As well, Tropical Storm Julian did dissipate quite quickly, and now we have Tropical Storm Kate, so we quickly got letter K. So this August has been very, 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 very active, and now obviously the peak season is about to arrive, which is September. 40 miles an hour, 1,006 millibars, and moving north at 10 miles an hour. This is going to be a very short-lived tropical storm. However, a big one we're actually really watching out for and concerned is Invest 90L, which is obviously a tropical wave off Africa. And we are seeing some overall good amount of convection, overall some good vorticity associated within this area of trough. So keeping a very close eye on its chance within some good overall developments. Could as well become an overall very strong storm in the Atlantic. So keeping a very close eye on that. 70% for 48 hours and a 90% for 5 days. So we may get Tropical Storm Larry probably very soon here before maybe Thursday or Wednesday and get Tropical Depression. I believe 12. Yes, it'll be Tropical Depression 12, I believe. So within probably the next 48 hours or so. So again, we do have flash flood watches going all the way from the coast of Florida up into the New England region, as well watching it overall, some overall significant inland threats all the way up to the mid-Atlantic. Watching got maybe a half-foot of rain with some gusts here. So obviously we have flash flood watches for millions as well. We do have a few tropics, or we do have a few areas of that are under a tornado watch, including Alabama, and as well we do have some flash flood warnings here, and as well we did actually have a few flash flood emergencies that I believe are still in effect across portions of Louisiana and Mississippi there. So overall, a ton of flooding alerts all across the eastern United States here as a result of Ida moving far inland. Here's now a look at the 4 o'clock Central Time, so 5 o'clock Eastern advisory by the National Hurricane Center. It's expected to stay as a tropical depression all the way up to Wednesday here. Moving near Huntsville, Alabama, then moving here into areas like Johnston City, Tennessee, in the overall Knoxville area, and then becoming a post-tropical as it goes into the Appalachian Mountains. They're going to stay post-tropical. So overall, going to bring in still some gusty winds there across the mid-Atlantic. We could get gusts probably into the 30s and 40s across Delmarva, New Jersey. So as well, watching that maybe for some maybe power outages, some slight amounts, but some potential for some power outages all the way far inland as the mid-Atlantic. But again, that's what we're expecting here. But the National Hurricane Center will be moving tomorrow through Alabama, Wednesday through Tennessee, and overall the Virginias, and then by Thursday in the mid-Atlantic and Delmarva. Again, we still do have some tropical storm warnings here across portions of the Dixie Alley and portions of the Gulf Coast. Tropical storm warnings still in effect for Mobile and portions there of southwestern Alabama, and for much of actually Mississippi there, all the way from Gulfport and Biloxi, all the way as far inland there as Jackson and central portion of central portion of Mississippi, as it's going to be continue bringing some overall very heavy rain, tornado threats as well, in extreme flooding, and even a few tropical storm warnings there for far northeastern Louisiana. A very, very, very widespread flooding threat here. You can see an extreme moderate risk here. We do have one giant moderate risk for flash flooding all the way from Hartford, Connecticut down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and portions of the far northeastern Alabama vicinity. That's a very widespread moderate risk. Like I did say, it's going to bring some widespread flooding here. Right now, we do have a moderate, though, for Alabama, Mississippi, and the western Florida vicinity, as well as still a little bit of a moderate down there um, near as far as southeastern Louisiana. But you can see a very widespread overall slight risk as well. But we're going to watch out for some more significant flooding, specifically for the southeast Appalachias, portions there of the Kentucky and Tennessee Valley. That's going to continue. So as well, even watching out for some significant impacts for the northeast and mid-Atlantic with extreme potential flooding here of over half a foot of rain, as well with gusts getting up to 30s and the 40s. So maybe like a little decent tropical depression there, or post-tropical depression for that vicinity. So can't rule out the possibility for some down trees, maybe some very dispersed power outages. So it's not going to be too widespread, but we could see a few. Let's take a look at the overall actual rain total forecast. So again, watching out for some significant rain all the way from Pensacola up into portions of Cape Cod and Boston. So going to be seeing the main area actual good amount of rainfall is in northern Alabama, northern Georgia, and portions of eastern Tennessee for tomorrow. And again, anywhere from probably a widespread 3 inches to some scattered areas that are going to get over around 7 to 8 inches of rain. And then really good amounts of rain there for Pennsylvania and the mid-Atlantic there. You see near northern West Virginia, Pennsylvania, portions of Virginias and Maryland. We may get actual rain totals of nearly 10 inches of rain according to this here. So watching out for some actually no, never mind. That's gonna be 7 inches of rain, not 10 inches. It's gonna be 7 inches of rain there. 7 inches max. So really watching out for some extremely significant flooding, and then it'll go down to around 3 to 4 inches, maybe scattered 5 inches across New England. So here's now a look here at Tropical Storm Kate, and Tropical Storm Kate looks like absolute garbage here. It actually looks like a South Atlantic system, because obviously South Atlantic systems always seem to look extremely subtropical, and actually this is exactly what Kate looks like. So we do actually see the clear counterclockwise flow and obviously vorticity and low circulation, but a lot of that convection is actually east of the actual low circulation there. You see some good amount of convection kind of becoming more widespread, but this thing is absolutely trash looking. It does have some good overall counterclockwise flow, though. Actually, it's really strong counterclockwise flow right there. You can see a clear low pressure there. Really strong amounts of cloud cover kind of going within a counterclockwise area. And it is a warm core low pressure, so it is technically a tropical system, even though it looks completely subtropical. If anything, it looks extra tropical, but it has been getting a little bit more initiation and convection that is circling around that low circulation, especially in that last shift right there. You see some decent convection there developing in the northwest area of the low pressure, as well as some good banding probably developing on the northeast vicinity. So it's going to start getting a little bit better looking. I assume as we go in the overnight hours and the atmosphere will cool off, allowing for some more convection to probably develop around the low circulation. Here's now look here at the 5 o'clock advisory for Tropical Storm Kate, again expected to obviously weaken at the tropical depression and then become a tropical storm once again, and basically kind of just go due north here. It's going to be very boring out to sea storm here. There's not really much to talk about. However, it's likely to become anywhere from 45 to maybe 50 miles an hour. A very, very boring storm to say the least. Something I'm really keeping my eye on though is Invest 90L. Again, we do have a really good tropical wave with a good amount of overall convection, and actually some good amount of convection. Actually, if I go back here to the IR here, there's actually some good amount of convection developing within this vicinity. There we actually have Invest 90L, which is basically just off the coast of portions of Eastern Africa, or sorry, Western Africa. So it's overall looking pretty good at this point. A good amount of convection, obviously. And we're seeing as well some good numbers here of anywhere from -70 to -80 degrees Celsius. So we typically see at this time of the year some really good tropical waves that come off with a very intense amount of convection bursts and overall initiation even before hitting the water. So that's why this one's going to be very interesting. Interesting invest here, obviously, as it does have a 70% for 48 hours now. So overall, this is likely going to become a tropical depression rather soon, and probably, who knows, becoming an out to sea system most likely But I really think this could very well have a chance to become a hurricane out to sea, though. So it's definitely very significant looking as considering the conditions. And I wouldn't doubt this is kind of like an epsilon type system. Obviously, I don't think it's going to get to the strength of epsilon. I wouldn't doubt this does become a rather good hurricane out to sea. That the conditions are very, very good. Um, so it could very well become a category one. But we will see how that progresses again. That we've actually see an overall good amount of ensembles support for supporting category one or above. As well, we do have the first advisory ensembles as well supporting that as well. A few gold malls are supporting that as well. So overall, it's very interesting how this play out. Here's one of the ensembles here for the GEPS, and as well, obviously 1,004 millibars likely become a tropical depression within 40 hours, maybe even a tropical storm. And it's going to start going northeast here, or sorry, northwest, as it gets kind of pulled by that ridge as it really strengthens. Where we're probably going to see a likely out to sea storm here, with a lot of these symbol and actual members getting it below 990 millibars, with some a good amount actually getting it below 980 millibars, with a few getting it below 970. But obviously the mean overall is getting it to 985 by the next 10 days. So the fact that they're getting 985 overall within the whole mean of it is definitely showing that there is some confidence. Here's that look here at the first ensemble models, which are typically not reliable at all. They always love jumping the gun to a category one. But again, I think this one actually is decently reasonable. However, they want to have it form to a tropical storm within 12 hours, which I do not see whatsoever. However, I do think it could become a tropical storm within 48 hours. I think that whole tropical depression thing within 48 hours is rather long, or at least extended too much. So I think this could very well become a tropical depression as early as tomorrow. But the models obviously all getting it to a category one, with some getting it to a category two. I'm not going to rule out the possibility that it does get that strong. However, I think it's way too early to jump the gun like that again. It's going to be a long track storm here, going probably all the way up into the North Atlantic, the actual North Atlantic. So overall, going to keep a very close eye on it. Like I was saying, a lot of ensembles are really jumping the gun on this system. So there's we have a lot of members actually jumping on this very early on. Actually, we have a ton of it, or a ton of them actually. Again, here's look at the next, I believe, 60 hours. Let me actually make sure. I believe we're looking at 60 hours. Yeah, we are looking at. Yeah, this was 60 hours. So here's look at 60 hours from now. You see a lot of models actually getting it within 30 to 40 knots. So this could very well become a tropical storm rather soon here, as well as seeing a little greens here, which is seeing this signaling that we make it 40 to 50 knots. So we have a lot of confidence actually in support. This could very well become a strong system. And then by the next year, 96 hours, these models are really jumping the gun here, getting some yellows from 50 to 60 knots. And as well as seeing a little bit of oranges within the areas of low pressure with its 60 to 70 knots. So it looks like the malls really want to jump the gun on this system that could very well become a very strong system overall. And as it really strengthens, it's going to go all the way to the northwest here and start really strengthening once again. So a lot of malls now getting it from 60 to 70 to 70 to 80 knots. We're seeing 965 millibars, 957 millibars. So we're getting some 960 and some 950. Look at that. 954 millibars right here. So these really ensembles are going absolutely crazy on this. And that's why I said this could very well be an epsilon type storm, maybe out to sea strong hurricane. And as well, look at this. We're getting some really intense colors here. 80 to 90 knots, 945 millibars, 965 millibars. It's not just one or two that are showing that. Almost all of them, like at least 20 members are showing that absolutely just crazy here. So we have to keep a very close eye on that here, whether this does actually verify. But like I did say, the conditions are overall pretty good. And we are seeing a ton of support within this. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on whether it does become a strong out-to-sea hurricane. Let's take a look here at the GFS 12Z nav. Like I did say, there is a good amount of support here. Again, looks like a case going to rather weaken rather soon here. But there you see the GFS wants this 90L to become 1,007 millibars within the next 24 hours, and then really getting its act together in the MDR and becoming 994 millibars within the next 72 hours or so. So overall conditions are quite favorable within that strong moisture bubble from that tropical wave. Again, really interesting and overall good amount of overall conducive environment there. 991 millibars within the central MDR within 78 hours, and then getting to 984, then 982. And then weakening here actually as it goes further northward, kind of weakening a little bit to 1,004, 1,001, and then strengthening once again and become an absolute monster system there. Look at the GFS wants to have it get to 968 millibars, and again, there that's obviously kind of what the ensemble are showing here. And there you see that Canadian ridge here, really strong ridge. Actually, sorry, let me actually do it again. Really strong ridge like that. Actually, that's going to be steering the storm a little bit kind of out to sea here like that, preventing it from going anywhere close to the United States here. So very similar scenario to what we saw with Julian. So again, as well, just overall going to keep a close eye on that. You kind of see it really pushes it like that towards portions of those islands there right here. I'm not really sure what those are called, but overall, it's definitely interesting because the GFS has been very consistent overall with this storm becoming a rather good hurricane. Let's take a look here what the CMC is seeing here. So if we actually have any mall support, and it looks like we actually do, as the CMC gets it already within 999 millibars within 66 hours, and then gets to 991, and then gets it now to 992, 987. So the CMC is taking it far further actually west because they don't have it strengthening as much as well. The CMC does not actually have that Canadian ridge up there, so it's not getting steered over here. It's actually getting steered away because of that ridge, really strong ridge. You can kind of see that kind of obviously clockwise flow within the ridge, pushing it, steering it like that. So if it's going to be rather weak, sorry, it's going to be rather weak, like the CMC is showing it compared to the GFS, most likely to be doing more of a western approach. And that actually would be maybe a teeny thing to watch out for over the northeast coast. But again, I really doubt it. But I think we all doubted Henri hitting the United States, yet it did. So now going to look here what the actual Europeans showing here. I'm actually very interested. So as well, Europeans jumping the gun here and showing an actually monster storm here within this. This could very well become a rather interesting storm. But look at the European. Look at that. That is an absolute monster heading directly for the United States here. Actually, it's only the GFS taking that really intense turn to the west because they don't really they actually have it strengthening the fastest, like right here, and then it goes like that. While the European and CMC are actually aiming it directly for Bermuda. So this could actually, if it does this, it would most likely be a Paulette, actually instead of an Epsilon. But or actually, it would kind of be like an Epsilon. But I think obviously Paula was closer to Bermuda. Correct me if I'm wrong. But again, that's what look at the CMC though, taking it directly towards really Bermuda, but a little bit just the northwest. So overall, going to keep a close eye on Bermuda and the east coast of the United States. But like I just said, I do doubt as of now that it will be any threat for any of those areas. However, again, if it does stay rather weak and that grid is placed where it is in the CMC or the Europeans, go back to the European here. Again, there you see that ridge right there. And if this storm is really strong like that, they're going to be seeing the really strong steering here. Kind of just pushing it westward, actually. Actually, no, it would probably do this, where it kind of gets steered like that. So kind of push like that by the clockwise flow, and probably eventually turn like that. That's probably what most likely it's going to do, because I doubt the European would show it going directly for the northeast or the mid-Atlantic, especially with this type of setup here. Most likely, again, going to get forced. And it's not too far from the actual ridge. It's probably going to turn like that. But overall, it's very interesting.